Hello, I'm Phil Japixi, Agile Practices Evangelist, and in this video I'm going to be introducing TeamPulse Time Tracking. With the 2012 R3 release, TeamPulse now offers users a simple and fast way for updating time against project-related work, like work items or meetings, as well as against non-project work like vacation or sick leave. So I've opened up a sample project in TeamPulse, and I've gone to tracking my perspective to see what work items I have. And here's a story. So let me open that. And we see down here we have two tasks. There's a couple things to note. We now have a little clock, and the tooltip says log work. And that's for each of them. And the work completed is now read only. So if I want to add time from this screen, I click on the clock. We have two types, billable and non-billable, which we'll go into show you how to customize that later. And let's add some time. We can pick the day that we want. We can add a note, and we click on log work. Once it's saved, we get a confirmation. Time entry saved successfully, right there. But we also see the work completed has changed. So let's do that again. So I have 26 hours completed. Let's open this up. Let's bump that down to 4. And we update it, and we see it's 24. Now, two other things to note. This task or work item is actually assigned to Annie Lowe. Now I'm Paul Smith. We can see right there I'm not really Paul Smith, but that's in the sample data I am. And when I log work against my own time, you see there's no note here. We'll add 4 hours of non-billable, click log work, we see it goes to 30. Let's go back into this task 154 that's assigned to Annie Lowe. And I want to point out right here a couple warnings that we get. First, it says the time entry will be logged for you, not for Annie Lowe. And it only says you've logged work for this date. And what that tells us is that we're going to be updating the time that we've logged as opposed to adding another record. So if the dates match, TeamPulse is smart enough to say, you've already logged it, you must be editing. We'll go ahead and take care of that. And that's adding it from my perspective. We can also add from my task board. We see that we have a clock right here. I can open it, and I can add billable time right here. Now you notice it did not tell us that we had already logged time. The reason was we had initially logged non-billable time. And here it says you've already logged work for this date. So it also checks to not only see that the date is the same, but that the work type is the same as well. Moving along the tracking ribbon, we can go to the task board. Again, it's the same thing. All right, let's go now to the requirements tab and in the story ribbon, and we look at that. And what we see here is a repeated theme. So anywhere that we can get to the tasks, we can update the time. So it's very, very easy for developers, no matter what they're working on or where they prefer to be working, to get right in and update their time. So before we go any farther into the time entry features, let's talk about how we configure it. We go to settings, and now we have this time tracking settings right here. There's a couple things I want to point out. First of all, we have this calculated work completed using time entries. If I uncheck that and go back to tracking my perspective and pull up my tasks, you'll see now that I can edit the work completed, as well as when I go in here and change this, we have 34 hours and we update it, it no longer updates the work completed. So it's completely configurable based on how you would like to do your work. So if we want to create custom work types, now the current work types we have are billable or non-billable. Make sure we're on the project that you are in, and let's create an additional work type, and we'll call this exploratory spike. Now I already added on a different project, so we can add it right in. And let's say we want this to take precedence or order, be higher ordered than non-billable in the drop-down. So we go back into our project. Let's go to my task board, and we'll click on this. And now you see we have billable, exploratory spike, and non-billable. Their settings that we have here are what we consider general tasks. And these are either per project or overall. And a per project task could be meetings, planning, support. You see we've got some options here. And in the non-project tasks, the project selection box goes away because it doesn't make sense. And now we can add vacation and sick time. Alright, so let's get back into the time entry. So, I've shown you how through the task board and my task board and my perspective we can get into the time entry, as well as from the requirements, and where you can see stories and their tasks. But let's get to the cross-project tracking, my perspective. And here we have everything that we are working on across all projects, and we can filter that. We can look at other people's time as well, but we'll leave it on us. And what we see here are stories, tasks, their status, and then the estimate, work remaining, and work completed. Now I want to go back into the settings and make sure I turn this back on, and let's add time to this particular task. Billable, non-billable. Now this is project 2 where we did not add that spike, so I can add some time here. Let's put a comment in there and then log work, and you see that it changed to 12. So this is a much more convenient screen overall if you're not keeping up with your individual tasks. So we have two different scenarios and we support them both. Certainly if you're going in and marking your tasks as done as you do them or as you work on them and updating with comments and maybe screenshots, etc., then right when you're in that task, as I showed over here in my task board, I can go and enter time. Now, of course, this is just a project I'm working on, the project that I'm currently in. If my workflow is perhaps one where I enter time at the end of the day for everything I've worked on or end of the week, then we support that too. Now, the last thing I want to show here on the My Perspective is you see that these non-project items like vacation and sick time, a non-work item or general things for each project like meetings and support do not show up here. This is just the My Perspective with time entry added in. If we want to get into all of the different items that we can assign time to, we want to go into the timesheet. And this shows day by day for each project all of the tasks as well as our general tasks. So here we have meetings, we have plannings, and we can determine whether they're billable or non-billable. Support, billable, non-billable. Now, the way you get these to show up is I have meetings, it defaults to non-billable. Let's add the exploratory spike, and now we have the multiple lines. So for convenience, the first one shows up as non-billable, and then we can add the additional ones. Now let's collapse all these, and then once we have collapsed, we can very easily see that we have general tasks, vacation, and sick time. There's not really a concept of billable or non-billable or those other types. This is just general tasks, and I suppose if you have vacation with pay or vacation without pay, you would just add those as additional tasks and people would log their time appropriately. Okay, next I want to show you the time entry sheet, which is a summary of everything that's been entered in the project, or at least the things that you have access to view. So here we have our time, we have the date, who entered it, or who the time was for, the project that we're on, and we can certainly change the sort order. Clicking on any of the people will show. There's by person, there's by project. Here's some general or generic time that's been entered, vacation. And then we can change the date range in here. So in addition to sorting, we can also group. So if I want to group by project, I merely grab the header, drag it up there. If we want to subgroup by person, we can add that in. We can change the order of the grouping, as well as change the order of the sort of the grouping, or we can remove a grouping. The last thing I'm going to show you is how easy it is to export the data. So what you see in this table right here, so whatever you filtered by up here, whenever you export to CSV, it's going to create a CSV file, which you can very easily open in Excel. Let's open it. Now I don't have Excel on this machine, so it just can be the comma separate values list. But you can see the first row are the headers, and then all of the data in there. And you could very easily pull this into Excel, use a tool like Power Pivot to get all kinds of great reports on. Or if you have another payroll system that you use that you have to get your time into, you can certainly import this data right into your payroll system, giving your employees just one place to do their work, or to track their work, I should say, like, tracking their work items and their time. And then you can get the benefit of using disparate systems if that's what your company does. So last thing I want to talk about real quick before we close here is the time tracking API. We expose all of this data via the web API, which is a RESTful based API. So if the export here isn't what you need, or if you want to write a little system tray app to allow people to log their time to it, you have the complete power to do so. It's read right through the API. It's your data, it's your database. You have the power to do anything that you need. So thank you for watching this short introductory video on time tracking. There's much more that we can show you. If you're interested, please let us know. You can reach us at teampulsesales@telerik.com, request a personal demo, and we can answer all your questions. My name is Phil Japixi, Agile Practices Evangelist for Telerik. Thank you for watching.